Welcome to week 2. Last week we did 3 reps. This week we're going to do 5. If you're a fan of my wife's, this scene is probably going to look pretty familiar. So, enjoy. Something that I noticed last week is that my back, whenever doing the downward dog, wasn't like a pyramid like this. It had a little bit of an arch to it, so I'm going to try to fix that this week. My camera might die in the middle of this, but only 5 more reps to go. So, definitely feeling the burn. It's definitely a little harder than last week, but, nothing that this body can't handle. So lame. So lame. So, it's crazy how if you start doing stuff, you start feeling like doing stuff. I don't know. Pretty weird. Make your bed, clean your room, brush your teeth, do your laundry. I am a stinky, sweaty mess. So now it's time for a cold shower. Let's talk about Piranesi. Let's not talk about work. Need sunlight? This week the question is, what is mine? Every week we're going to have a question, right? I have planned the books based on the questions. They should help answer them. If you were to ask me what is mind, I would say that mind is one of the 3 modalities that we experience this reality on. I would say that you have mind, body, and spirit. And mind is just one of those ways that we can experience the universe. The mind is the consciousness, the part of you that thinks. Anytime that you want to do a calculation like 2 plus 2, you're going to use the mind to do that. Anytime that you're going to recall a memory, you're going to use the consciousness or the mind to find that. Ever since the ancient Egyptians and before that, man has known about the mind. We've always sort of understood that everything that is in this physical world has to go through some sort of filter for us to interpret it. And that filter is the mind. The mind is sort of everything. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." So he was saying that he's saying that before anything else can happen for him, he had to be thought. Which is a weird thing to think about. How are you supposed to... It seems recursive or paradoxical, right? It's like, if I am thinking, then I am existing. But I can't exist to think without existing. So if I don't exist, then I can't think, but if I'm not thinking, then I don't exist. He understood that the consciousness is what made him human. He understood that his mind was interpreting the world around him, and that was what was allowing him to have free will to do whatever he wanted. I just finished Wim Hof, and it occurred to me while I was sitting there in my silence during the breath retention that I didn't really explain Wim Hof very well in episode 1, so I'm going to do that again really quick. There are 5 steps to Wim Hof. The first step is to inhale and exhale in a rhythmic circular pattern 30 times in a row, no pauses in between exhales or inhales. On your last exhale, this will be step 2, exhale fully and hold for, Wim Hof suggests a minute, but for beginners, you should probably do a little less. Number 3 then is going to be an inhale fully, and then another retention for 15 seconds. After that is over, exhale again, relax the exhale. As soon as you feel the need to breathe,
start up your breathing again, 30 rhythmic breaths, and you go again. You'll find that maybe that exercise of the minute retention to a minute 30 to 2 minutes is a little tough. I would suggest what you do then is watch this video, which is just the Wim Hof method, but the retention times are significantly lower. This is a really good introduction video, and I really recommend this channel. Now that we've properly explained the Wim Hof method, let's talk about what I'm thinking about. And if you're going to follow along with the series and you're going to start doing Wim Hof now, what I would suggest is that during this first month of Aries, you just try to find your heartbeat. Just try to find where it is that you can feel your heartbeat the most in your body. You want to relax, be calm, and that retention time is all about calming the body. It's all about saying the mind being in control and the body, because the body wants to freak out. As soon as you're doing this to yourself, you're putting yourself into a state of panic. And then you're saying, we're not gonna panic anymore. Just try to find your heartbeat and just focus on your heartbeat and slowing it down. And once you can feel where the source of it is, start trying to push the heartbeat to the other parts of your body. I suggest going with the head and then working your way down. So then feel it in your shoulders, feel it in your hands, then feel it in your hips and push it down into your legs. So while you're sitting there, you're just thinking about your heartbeat. Eventually, we're gonna push that heartbeat to the whole thing, and you can start doing meditations in those minute 30 retention times. And they are so helpful. They're really good for clearing your mind, clearing your thoughts, giving you more clarity, giving you like a little bit of rest. Think about nothing or just focus on your heartbeat. You just want to clear your mind. You want to calm yourself down.
My barber gave me a really terrible haircut, and so to distract from it, this is what you're getting. What is the mind? So stupid. Mind to me is a lot like whenever you were a baby and you woke up for the first time. It's the first moment that you realized that you were you and that you were alive. Realizing that you are you and that you are now alive is terrifying. There's a sense of existential terror that comes from learning that this life is your life to live now. And there's also a fear of never being able to go back to where you came from. Whenever children reach about the age of 4 to 7 is usually whenever this conscious light activates and that you start beginning to be autonomous. And one of the first things that you realize is that you are not your mother, and that you and your mother will never be connected again like you were during or before your birth. Realizing that you are you also comes with this realization that everything else is everything else. That something on the inside of here is existing, but everything on the outside of here is existing. Now you have to start living, and you can feel that you get responsibilities. That first one is to figure out what is even going on here. Rene Descartes' I think, therefore I am comes into play, and we looked or talked about how paradoxical this can be. How can you think that you are something if you were never that thing to think that you are that thing in the first place? He's really saying that in order to think, you have to exist, but in order to exist, you have to think. And isn't that interesting? Isn't that strange? And so you ask yourself again, what in the hell is going on here? It isn't until you have the realization that no one knows what the hell is going on that you can actually suspend your disbelief and start asking the real questions to get you outside of your box. Last night, whenever I was explaining to some friends what the student of everything is, it kind of dawned on me that maybe this is going to be seen as like a self-help sort of thing. And I want you to understand that there's nothing that I can do that can change you. You are going to have to make the change yourself. And the hardest part is going to be doing the work. We talked about resistance being something that everybody has to deal with. And resistance will show its head in all forms. If you ever want to try to do something important or something hard or make a major change, you're going to run into resistance. The mind is the greatest tactician against you. It knows all of your strengths and your weaknesses. And so it can put these resistances in place. That overcoming those resistances, that is the mind. That little voice that is telling you to stop, that is the mind. If you ask anybody who's done anything, they will say, I had this idea, but the hardest part was getting started. Man, I don't know. Basically, whenever you start doing the work, it's really easy to realize, oh yeah, I am a worker. I know how to do the work. And it's easy to me because look how hardworking I am, or, whatever it is. But until you get started, the hardest part is getting off of the couch. And that is the mind. That thing that tells you just to stay on the couch. That thing that's in you that says, just be lazy, be unproductive. Fear is the mind killer. If you're afraid to ever move, then you'll never do anything. That's resistance. They put a fake thing in your way and made you win a loser's game. You won it in your head, but nobody was impressed by it. Everybody thought you were a loser. It's time to stop being a loser and start doing stuff. I want to continue the discussion that we've been having this week over about what is mine, and I wrote some stuff down, so I'm going to look at it and we're going to talk about it. So I'm sitting here thinking about when the first time I feel like my mind turned on. I think that the first time that my mind turned on, I was really, really sick. I can remember being a kid and laying in bed, and we had a 2-story house, and my room was on the bottom floor, and my parents' room was on the top. And I can remember yelling out for my mom and no one coming. And I think I could be making this up. I mean, I remember that is the moment that I knew that I had to do something for myself. Like I was going to have to get up and take care of me. No one was coming for me. It's basically what I'm trying to say. There was nobody there. No one was answering the call. And so when no one answers the call, you have to pick up the phone. Anytime that there is a fire behind your eyes and you are present and cognitive of the moment and you're thinking, the mind is at work. And the first real question that I feel like everybody has is, if everyone has a mind like me, does everyone experience the same things as me? So, if everybody has a mind like me, are all of our experiences the same? And I would say to that perception is reality. So if you and I are perceiving the same thing, then our reality is the same. But another way to ask this question is your blue the same as my blue? And the answer is no, because I'm colorblind. That means that the reality that I live in is a little bit different colored than you. And that might not seem like a lot, but that means that color isn't inherent to an object, or perceived color isn't inherent to an object. The world doesn't look like anything. Our minds are just creating that world. And whenever you realize that your mind and my mind are creating two completely different worlds, a little bit of fear can kick in, a little bit of terror, some sort of existential dread might come over you. And it's because you see in other people that eventually the mind stops. And whenever your mind stops, it's over. And that's so scary. That's so scary. Fear of not being, of being non-existent, and even the ability to think about not thinking is the mind. I have a really good way of explaining it, actually, now that I think about it. There is this way that I like to talk about the mind. And the mind works like a prism. If you've ever seen a light prism, basically you pump white light through it and it breaks up the light and it turns it into a bunch of colors. Your mind is the prism. So the universe is actually all of the colors and the white light is you. But we know that things can't exist to think unless they think to exist. So without the you on the other side, all of the colors don't even exist. Conscious mind, conscious awareness, thinking, that is the mind. Thinking is the mind. It's saying that the light can't exist without, all of the colors can't exist without the one singular light, and the one singular light can't exist without all the colors. What's allowing both of these things to happen? It's the mind. The mind is everything, and the universe is mental. So everything around you is a construct of your mind, and the universe that is created is mentally yours. It's completely different from mine. It's completely different from anybody's. And that modality of thinking might even facilitate multiple worlds theory. Like, technically, we live in a multiverse. All of our, maybe the base, like, essence of the universe is the same for all of us, sure. But the perceived universe by all of us is completely different. Just having the ability to observe that you can observe things, think that you can think things, that is activating your mind. You're activating one of the corners of the triangle. It's integral to be more in tune with your soul, is that you realize how you think and examine how you think and what you think about. And the ability to do that is the mind. I'm laying on the ground and I was thinking about you and how I said that this wasn't a self-help thing. And then I thought about something and I realized that I'm not here maybe to teach you, but to learn me. And maybe I am actually teaching you how to learn you.
Consciousness is kind of like a pencil. You leave a little bit of yourself everywhere. Drawn on other people, drawn on other things. You're just shedding layers of yourself and just like little sticky notes, just leaving it everywhere. Little pieces of you that say, Tristan was here. It's a little hand movement where they sold that.
And that's what Student of Everything is about. It's about being a student to all of the stuff so that you know what you are. Because if you learn from everything, then you exist for all of it. And isn't that the mind?
You can pretend the world doesn't exist in the mind. You can make anything you want to. And I think that's the beauty of it. That's why I like it so much. That's why I'm in love with it. It's because the imagination is amazing. It's an infinite wealth of generation, and we don't ever really think about it like that. It is kind of ongoing forever in ourselves, an infinite generator of energy. We say perpetual motion doesn't exist, but show me a man who does not think, and I will give you no bread. I don't I don't have any witty sayings for it. I just
I'll see you next week.